Welcome everyone for V2, part 2 of the AGM podcast. This is live, people. Things go wrong. For some reason, when we wanted to chat with Andy, we couldn't hear him. For some reason, unbeknown to everybody, that the audio and video stream somehow got broken in two, so we could hear him, or Siri, I'm sorry, but we couldn't hear him. So let's go flick over to see, hopefully, how Andy is. This is where you go, all going horribly wrong, but have we got him? Let's see.
Just joking. Is it going to work?
Yep. Thanks for that. Messing around. Give me a little heart attack again. Appreciate it. Deary me. Right. First point of order to CB01, who must now be 1:30 in the morning. I just wanted to say well done for staying on and for not going to bed and bearing with us, because at the moment it's a bit of a peep-or show. But right, so before we get into any form of agenda every week, we'll go for a JB question from me. So go on, JB question from me. The one good news, I have got access to both of the old chat, new chat. I haven't closed it down. So I just want to make sure. McFly says these forgiveness heat maps make the MPF ratings pretty much obsolete. I would want to say
MPF data. I like this as a source of data. Its conclusions from the equation that he makes doesn't tend to mean a lot, but the data that he collects is invaluable.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming it's measured and assuming it's correct. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the center of gravity obviously plays a big part in how the club performs, but not so much in forgiveness, because knowing where the center of gravity is doesn't tell you how much the face is going to flex, where it's going to flex. If all that matters was a CG, then this whole Callaway AI face thing is meaningless, isn't it? Because if their face can't affect the forgiveness of the club, then why is it there? So one of those is true.
You are not wrong. Well, we found out ourselves, haven't we, that when we're looking at irons with a super high MOI, the ones with and no different to golf drivers when we're talking about super high MOI. MOI is not the answer, and actually, as this hunt for MOI increases, it could very much so make things worse, not better.
Yeah, you have to push the physics of the club to such an extreme to get the MOI past 10K. Like, you've got to do some real funky stuff, and it just creates problems elsewhere. For the little amount that it improves anything, it creates way more problems than it fixes.
I want to, if I can, I don't know if I can do it, on there. That is the old chat, and we have here Trouble. What a name. Trouble says, and I don't necessarily know who Trouble is, because obviously, unfortunately, we have the difference between usernames on here, usernames on Discord. I could be talking to the same person with 3 different usernames, so it's a bit of a pain. But Trouble, whoever Trouble is, I got Wilson Dynapower Forge last year, and they aren't forgiving enough for me. Using your website, I went and hit the JPX 923 Hot Metal Pro with an 85 gram MMT shaft, and it changed everything for me. Well, I'm very glad, Trouble, that your trouble's finished with that one, but that's the whole idea of the website. The website was designed to try and give everyone measured, accurate information and not just marketing stuff. It's based on how a golf club physically works, and how a golf club physically works for a lot of people will be very much individual when it comes to its launch, whether you need high launch factor, low launch factor, high spin or low spin. Well, there's not that much difference between them, but effectively the difference between those two, and face speed as well, and how that plays a part in the flight with your swing speed. That's why the self-fit tool is so blooming good.
But if I recall, the Dynapower Forge is a wide band, right? It's a wide band across the face. So if you're a low ball hitter, you're going to lose more than necessarily you will off the toe or the heel. If I remember, I could be wrong.
No, you are not wrong. I can't remember which version. I think it's that one. It's a very laterally forgiving. It's one of the most unique heat maps that we've ever done. That when we've measured it, it's laterally across the face, so vertically good, so in line with where you need to hit it, but toe and heel, amazing. Really very good until you deviate low on the face. As soon as you deviate low on the face, it does drop off. It's not horrific. There are some golf clubs on the heat maps which we can see that they're not good at all. More on Titleist later. And so we've got the other ones on here. 9 Iron says, I got the King Cobra X. Only have 3 numbered irons in the bag now. Not surprised, they're fairly strong. CBO1 says on here, before we all finished off and realised that my OBS was knackered, CBO1 says, I've just learned that I am the tweener now since I have the i230. I think this is referencing something that Andy posted on Discord about some website, and I don't know what it is. I must admit, I haven't looked at it in depth to know where I was looking for. I just saw the image and of effectively, I might have it, hang on a second. I don't want to sort of, because the whole idea is not for me to sort of like go off on a completely different tangent here, but I don't know if I've actually got it because it is hilarious. I don't know if I have. I don't know if I did it on the basis of I didn't really want to get dragged into the conversation, but effectively it was a picture of Andy, tell me if I'm wrong here, least forgiving, most forgiving, and all the different irons, and effectively it says least forgiving, there's all the blades, and then there's all the player's cavity, and then there's all the, and it basically went from the marketer's dream of not measuring anything, not actually knowing how any golf clubs work whatsoever. It's literally like, okay, we've got to sort these golf clubs out in pigeonholes and we've got to put them in slots. And we're literally just going to take what the manufacturers say, there you go. And it was hilarious how poor it was. No measurement whatsoever. But that's why I think, because didn't someone say that a tweener was an in-between? I don't know.
Yeah, the clubs that are kind of bit cavity, bit player's distance. But
tweener.
It's a tweener.
It's a tweener.
And somebody else piped up saying that's a new category called player's performance. Whatever that means.
P770. That's what people jump in on that one. T150. There you go. Another one. I don't know. Right, so that gets everyone sorted out on the other stuff before it went horribly wrong. Brian Anderson says, all the info is so much more insightful than the anecdotal stuff I get most other places. Appreciate it, Brian. Thank you very much for the positive feedback. Appreciate it always. Let's go on to the current one.
Black currant?
I don't mind blackcurrant. It's been years since I've had blackcurrant.
You know, blackcurrant's illegal over here.
What?
Yeah, it's illegal.
What?
Not allowed to, the plant is illegal. You're not allowed to plant it. It's considered an invasive species. That's why the American purple color is grape and not blackcurrant.
Learn something new every day. 9 Iron says that joke from 2020 never gets old. I'm not quite sure what I've said. I say many things.
I mean, it's only 2020. How can it be old?
Well, that's true. But I mean, that's already 5 years old, I guess. But yeah, I can't remember. I say many things. Most of it is on a whim and is jovial at the time. And as I say it, I forget it. CBO says, finally, you and me both on this one. JB says, complete my 243 set with a gap wedge or buy the T1 or T3, mainly full shots. Which one's cheaper? I would go with I personally would go gap wedge. Have I got that? I'm not quite sure if I've got it or not. 243, 243. The 243s would be over here, I think.
Yeah, I would definitely think that if they have any manufacturer, if they have a matching wedge, it's always smart to get the matching wedge if they have one. Like, why play something completely different if you're so used to everything else?
No, I've only got the 9. I haven't got the Gaparoo in the 243. But I wouldn't see with the T1s or T3. It's something completely different. You already know your 243. There's no real performance benefit, especially if you're going to use it as full shots. I just go get the 243. Get it in the same custom fit that you've had.
46 on the gap wedge. On the 243?
No.
48.
Yes, 48, 49 by memory. It's just how they move their. Yeah. So.
I mean, that's kind of a full swing. That's a full swing club, if you ask me. Right? That's a full swing club.
Money, no object, huh? He said money, no object. Down the bottom there, look. You've got vouchers. You can get this in a gap wedge. I am rather smitten with the 3DP Source, I must say. Right, so I would say my 2 cents worth, JB, would be to get the 243 gap wedge. Just fill the set out, get your same custom fit shaft, no different, just literally get the gap wedge. You know the irons, you know what to expect, they'll be exactly the same, there'll be no feel difference or anything else like from your pitching wedge. That's what I would do for, 49. So thank you very much.
I would just look at it if you're considering it as a full swing club, then why not blend it in? Because you're doing exactly the same as the others. Now, when you get to more like specialty chip in or bunker shots, then you can go with a more specialty wedge. But if you're just playing it like a full swing club, get the match.
The thing for me is ground interaction. As soon as you want to interact with the ground in a different way, then you're going to need, especially with chip shots and pitch shots and stuff like that, you'll need something slightly different. But with the key was there mainly full shots. And if you want to use it like you do your pitching wedge, that for me is the biggest marker there. JB says he plays off 9, good handicap, if that helps. Not at all, mainly due to iron play, but that is also good. So yeah. Reaffirms the 243 gap wedge. Eero says, can't remember if I've asked this before, thoughts on zero torque putters. Yes, they're amazing, they are brilliant, the technology of them is cool, learn how to putt. Andy says, hang on, no, Andy first, you give me your opinion on zero torque. You can feel free to disagree with me, I don't mind.
I think with a lot of technology, it all depends on what you're. It's not gonna. If you're a bad putter, it's not gonna turn you into a great putter, because the reason you're a bad putter is got nothing to do with the putter that you're using. It's just like a driver. If you're really bad with a driver, it doesn't matter what head you're gonna buy. It's only gonna make a slight change to your result. Could it make you? Could the technology take you from marginally missing to going in? Maybe, but at that point you're already a pretty damn good putter. In that case, you're talking very small gains.
If you look at your dispersion pattern for, let's say, front to back, let's not do left and right, because left and right, it doesn't really matter what putter you're going to have. You can't aim straight. You need to get custom fit, obviously, because different heads, different alignment lines, 1 line up line, 2 line arms, no alignment line, the different shafts, all the different models of all different heads can make you perceive target differently. So the whole idea is, first of all, if you've got a custom fit golf club which allows you to line up somewhere and within a very small margin of error, you are aimed at where you want to go. If you can't aim and all that lot, then yeah, there's no hope for you at all. But from a point of view of there's 2 things really you have to worry about. Speed, that's a massive thing. Remember, if you're misstriking a putter to need a super helpful one, etc., then really, unless you're missing it, which you're not going to do with a putter, over a 20-foot putt, your dispersion pattern through misstrikes, if you are actually delivering the right speed, is not going to be massive. What we're talking about from a 20-foot putt is people that are 3-putting from 20 foot because they've got no concept of speed whatsoever. Well, zero torque putter's not really going to help you with that one really at all. It's more so your feel. And then if you can't read a green to save your life, again, it's all down to speed. And if you don't know where to start it, you can aim it straight. But if you don't understand where to aim it because you can't read a green, you don't know what speed to hit it. And yeah, so I pet my cat now and I was cat hair stuck all over me. Do you?
That was when you were messing around earlier and I went to touch my face and I had a handful of cat hair and it went up and stuck to my face.
Lovely. Yeah, I've got a Labrador. I know exactly what that feels like. Brian says, I didn't do the gap in the 243, but I also use it more 50-50 full versus around the green. Again, no different of the 243, even gap wedge around the green, unless you're looking for specific requirements, opening the face and moving the handles in different positions. The standard gap wedge is absolutely fine, absolutely fine. Brian also says, oh, the 3DPs are going to hurt my credit cards soon. They are really good. They are. I don't know if everyone has watched my 3DP tour video, but for me personally, I just feel these things. I am struggling, guys, to not really justify putting these in the bag. Coming away from my Mizunos, and yes, I am potentially saying that because they're just that good from my perspective. 3DP, Hero, come on. 3DP. Miuras are great, the Miuras are lovely and stuff like this, and Mizunos are great, Mizunos are lovely. However, the 3DP tours perform so well, so consistently, so forgivingly, that the trade-off that you're going to have with looks, for me, blade needs to be chrome. Mizuno don't do chrome anymore, so I'm already compromising. They're just great.
I think that what gives the 3DP the edge, the TC201s are incredibly consistent across the face, like ridiculously consistent, but they are still an old school, solid forward piece of metal, and the limit is your speed. You're not gaining, you know, the speed that the Cobras are bringing to the table. You know, the Miuras are playing at like 1.49. Face speed, you know, it's you know, if you've got swing speed to spare, then yeah, but yeah, if you've got, you know, mid to low 80s, you know, the 3DPs are going to play a lot better.
JB says, appreciate the advice both, love the channel, thank you very much for your kind feedback, always like the kind feedback. Anytime anyone wants to put some kind feedback, either in the chat if you're live and the comments of any video, always make sure you like the video, guys. If you can, like every single video, even if you don't like it, but just like the channel, you may hate the video. You know that feeling sometimes when you're just about to be sick. You know, like that. You might have that, but if you just press the like button.
I only have that feeling depending on how much you're on camera in the video.
And how big I am on the shot. You know, when I have like a full face view and then suddenly I cut into 120%. Brian says, I'll take the 3DP at 85 miles an hour all day. Yes, they work exceptionally well. Another question, if you have time. JB, pop it in there. I will just going to be talking about the topic 1, even though this is such a disjointed podcast, it's ridiculous. But so gold members early access, we'll start this one very quickly, and by all means, JB, pop the question in the chat. Andy will keep on top of me to make sure I don't miss it. So gold members of www.askgolfnut.com, where we have all the heat maps, we have all the radar stuff, we have all the self-fit tool, all the stuff that you see on the website and more, because I don't show some stuff on the website because again, well, just bore you. But effectively we've got more on there. And the gold members, you get early access to all of the irons which I'm testing. Now, I may have to have a chat with this man down here at one point, because very soon we're going to be starting getting into the intermediate releases. So Ping are going to be doing one, Titleist are going to be doing one as well. And so even though Titleist is not going to be an issue, because obviously I can't get hold of Titleist, I have to physically go out and buy it. So thank you to everybody that has been very, very kind and donated on the website, www.askgolfnut.com. Down the left-hand side, there's a little yellow donate button. Because it has helped greatly every single person's little contribution and large contribution. It is very, very much appreciated. Still ongoing, by the way, so if you feel down there, because I've still got to do the next Titleist ones in about 3 months, which is going to be another expensive day. But I think it's important that we get all of the brands on the website. I think it's only right, only transparent, only balanced to do such. But the gold members have already got access to the T-series and also the 620 CB. That's only 6 years old now. You realise that, Andy? 6 years.
Man, so
it is. So yeah, if you're a gold member, you get early access to that. Unfortunately, if you are bronze or silver, it won't come up on your listings. But the golds get it. There you go. Josh S says, just joined gold during the stream. Excited to check it out. Nice. Josh S, if you want to pop onto Discord as well, you can join onto Discord. I've got a link in the video description, or at least in the most recent video descriptions. That will then, I think it's over there. No, over there, you know, right in that corner. But you can go onto the video description, copy that in, then follow that. And then you get certain access to certain Discord parts, which are hidden from other users that aren't gold. And of course, you get all the joys. If you need any help when it comes to the website, any technical help whatsoever, that's for Andy. That's him down there. No, if you need any hand, thank you, Andy, appreciate that. You can click on that one, Josh, and then follow that. Join, and then just reach out and we'll help you with getting your Discord linked to your website account, and then you'll get special access to Discord as well. Right, CB01 says, before I leave you guys for bed, if a beginner can have as many wedges as possible, oh lovely, what is the degree and sole setup that works and selection for each scenario? And he says, less wedges, learn one and expand into more. Okay, so I'm a great believer of having, let's just say, a gap wedge nearly going forward is not actually a wedge. Well, it is a wedge, but it's no different to a pitching wedge or a 9-iron. It's becoming very much so a standardized normal iron. Yeah, so we are talking about sand wedge and lob wedge, whatever you want to call them. 54, 55, 58, 60, whatever it be. If you are trying to get as much bang for your buck as you possibly can do, trying to have as much versatility within the wedges as you possibly can do, what I would do is I'd go over 54, 55, whatever it would be, whatever fits in the loft gaps, etc., with as much bounce as you can get. 14 degrees, whatever it would be. Yeah, that means you can play a normal shot from a bunker with loads and loads of sand in it, where normally you'd get that classic digging in, 54, 55 degrees of 14, open it up to 70 degrees. You've got a bucket ton of bounce on that now, resisting it digging into the ground. You can play a nice shot. When it comes to the same bunker, but it's got no sand in it whatsoever, and it's like properly dig your feet in and you're feeling like it's solid concrete underneath, you know you haven't got a lot of wiggle room when it comes to sand. Then when it comes to your 58 or 60, you want something with nominal to lowish bounce, not low bounce, but an 8 degree, something like an 8 degree, because you can still open up the 60 degree a little bit without fear of the bounce increasing too much and causing that sculling into a golf ball. That's if you've only got 2 wedges and the only 2 wedges for setups for all different types of golf courses. Yes, if you had money, no objects, I'd be getting as many different options as you possibly can do. However, you need to know how to use them. That is what Andy is saying. There's no good having all these wonderful little wedges with bounce and grinds that you can go, oh, yeah, I've got this S grind here, and oh, I got the WV grind. If you can't use it, it's about as much good as something on a fish. Chocolate Fireguard? probably a better one. Kind of getting the point. Yeah. JPX 925s are pretty good. How much better is the 3DP? Depends on where you reference it from.
We're going to talk about that in a bit.
Yep. JB moved to claw grip. My 35-incher is now too short. Bettinardi QB6, buy a longer shaft, or putter extender. I'd putter extend it. If you like the putter and stuff like that, just extend it. Why I wouldn't go to, I know manufacturers are going to hate it, but I wouldn't buy something that you quite clearly like and love the putter, but look, just extend the putter. Andy?
Yeah, there's no torque on the shaft of a putter, so, no real load, so it doesn't matter what extension you just use. You can grab like one of the cheap plastic extensions and just epoxy it into the top and then put your grip on it, you're fine.
Absolutely right. I've done many in my time. Absolutely right. Andy, I just heard Jay say all the clubs. What have I said? Brian says, yeah, it's tough when you are playing Muni courses. The conditions vary so much. I just play mid everything except 8 degree in the lob wedge. No problem whatsoever. So let's go on to Topek 2, because the Topek 2 flows into Topek Une Van. Let's get that back up again. Nice one again, both. No problem whatsoever. Right, so Titleist irons are finally here. They are, not that one. I have them all over yonder. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll swap cameras. Now I'm on a little bit of a walk. Andy, apologise if I haven't set your things up properly.
I don't know, they won't be able to tell if they can hear me.
Yeah, they can hear you, but can
yeah.
everyone hear me?
Oh, look, I'm even in the top corner. That's awesome.
Nice. See? That's tech. I haven't as yet turned this TV on, so I can't read anything. Right, so I'm on the move. Let's go 620 CB first. Yep. There you go. So that really was potentially a complete waste of money, because this is now current, but good 5 years old, if not 6. Do we know, Andy? Obviously, we've had the pictures of the T-series that have snuck out online. Have we got any notice at all of them actually changing this 620 CB?
Well, I didn't see the 620. I only saw the T's. I didn't see.
So
there is it.
It could very well be current still, and for another year. There we go. Andy now is frantically looking for the replacements online. Right, so T100. There you go. So we can get it in the light as such, a reflective light. It's basically a carbon copy of the CB looks-wise when it comes to top lines, thicknesses of soles, blade lengths as well. Very, very, very close. We have that dual channel, that dual cavity behind there, and we have some tungsten as well. It's a very interesting look. Is it something that I really like the look of? Probably not. If I can get it focused, I don't know if I can. If I can get it focused in there, yeah, there we go. There is quite a big undercut there. It is quite large. It does look very fat here, even though it's not very fat. You can see by the thickness of the sole, or lack of, there is. But it's uber thin, like properly uber thin there, and it just does look a little bit weird. It also, without going through every single one of them and telling you exactly what the reviews have been like, the CB and the 100 and the 150, they don't feel as soft as I was expecting, especially the CB. I was expecting the CB, which is just one away from the full-on MB, for it to be really soft. It didn't feel really soft. It was nice, don't get me wrong. It just didn't feel really, really soft. And no different to the T100. T150, is just a slightly fatter version of the poor old T100. It's got all of these now starting to get a little bit stronger in lofts. Again, the same exact design, no different when it comes to the dual cavity. Still got tungsten in it. Slightly stronger in loft. I think this is 32, where the CB is 35, 34 for the T100, 32. So we're just using this as a little bit more of a when you want to get a little bit more distance out there. Very easy to blend, the 100 and 150. This is where it changes, people. It gets a little bit funky now. We have the T200. And the biggest thing I'll find with the T200 here, and we're not going to go into the heat maps or anything else like that, for the gold members, you can find out already when it comes to the T200. But the biggest difference in looks, this is a chrome, so I like the chrome already. But it's a player's distance, it's hollow bodied, and it definitely sounds like it's hollow bodied. Distinct sound this is. Especially going from CB 100, 150, 200, and it's like, oh yeah, we'll change the tech. That's that one. And then we're now starting to get bigger, very much bigger. We have the, they are. The T350, offset starting to get a bit bigger, full on head starting to get much bigger. Loft is starting to get a little stronger now. 29 for 7.
Do you have like a DS Adapt Max or
yes
like that in somewhere to compare that to?
Yes, hang on. Hello, where are you? I do, somewhere. I say somewhere. Nope. I've got too much stuff everywhere. It's around here somewhere. If I remember it, I will find it where it is, because I've got stuff everywhere. Definitely on this side. Talk between yourselves. I'm trying to find it.
I was just thinking from terms of size comparison, you know, we talked about how good the DS Adapt Max is, you know, from a physics standpoint. And, you know, if you're comparing it to the T350 or the T400, if it's comparable, you know, why would you ever take the Titleist over it?
Is this the Max? Return out the Max. No, it's I've got so many down here, it's blooming stupid. Aha! I have found it. It was hiding. The doorstop was hiding. I say doorstop because it is rather big. Right, so here is the DS Adapt Max. I think everyone would agree. Whoop, that way round. This girl is large. The DS Adapt Max is definitely bigger. I don't know if this is a very good camera angle. Mm-hmm. So that is DS Adapt Max. You can see it's bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to start getting big, obviously we have the 400 to go. So bear with people, and we are starting to get large. So against this, yes, this is very big and works exceptionally well, by the way, like exceptionally well. So well done to Cobra on that one. It does look fugly. So for people who like aesthetics, or people like a golf club looking a certain way, sorry, no different to the T350, it's still big, especially going from the T100s, 150s, 200s, and there's a big, decent jump in offset, decent jump in everything. Forgiveness-wise, won't go into too much detail, but we do see a trend. We start moving away from where one was sitting, moving towards a different direction. That is very cryptic, but the whole idea, it's supposed to be cryptic because I don't want to give too much away. Again, the gold members of the website can go on the website www.askgolfnut.com and find out for yourself. Right, are you ready, Andy? I may have to stand back a bit, because when I display this golf club, yeah, it may fill up the whole screen. All right. That is big. It's a big old thing. It is basically like a hybrid. It is very similar, I would say, actually, to the DS Adapt Max. I do still think the Max has got it, but Max is very big. Again, that is the Max.
It's pretty close.
It is pretty close. It's still very big.
Just a little bit of beveling difference for the most part.
So, Andy, remind me. DS Adapt Max. Oh, well, thank you for joining in. A super chatted. Oh, thank you very much. Quick hello from Cumbria. Well, that's a heck of a hello from Cumbria. Thank you, buddy. That's a very, very kind donation. Oh, if I could, I will. Do you know what? That is worth me walking over here.
I already did it. You're too late.
Oh, nice. Yeah, but A Special K need to know has come from me. The loft on the DS Adapt Max. Very similar in size, etc. 31 degrees, is it? I can't remember off the top of my head. Something like that. The T400. The T400.
26.
It's rather strong. 26 degrees for a 7-iron. 26 degrees. Rather, well, crazy. However, it does have some very good redeeming features for that 26 degrees because of the fact that it is the same size as most countries. We have plenty of room to stick the 100 grams of tungsten that I've managed to ram up the backside of this girl. Yeah, so even though she is large, she is dense down below. And so it does help in the performance somewhat of certain things. So they are the 6 irons that I have bought myself of my hard-earned editing money, so we can give you the reviews that you would need, you require, that's only fair, and also to get all the information on the website as well. So that has been done, and the gold members, you've got access to it already. Let's go now sit down again. Gold member. Dear me. Right, I'm back. Thank you again, Kieran, for that. I really, really appreciate it. You are a gentleman, a scholar, and a very, very, very dear person. Always warms my cockles when people donate any form, whether it's large or small. It's just a very, very kind thing. So thank you very much. That is going firmly in the Titleist Iron Fund. So thank you. Oh, yes. Bear with.
Oh, you've got to change the scene.
It's just because unfortunately there is a different setup for mics when I go from that camera to that one, so I've got 2. Now I should be fine. Thank you very much for the heads up for Brian and also Niels. Appreciate that. Let's get on here. 100 grams of tungsten in the 3DP, says Brian. It definitely has. And the interesting thing, the difference between the 3DP and the T400, we have same amount of tungsten. However, I think you could probably get 2 3DPs in the same size as one T400. It's rather large, the T400. Hopefully my stream is much better now when it comes to the audio. Now I've sat down and turned one off. But yeah, the T100, the T400 and the 3DP Tour, even though they've got the same amount of tungsten, 2 completely different. Look, now that camera there is going to make this golf club look massive, and it's not. What I should do really is go get the T400 and stick it next to it, because it's a little bit bigger. I'm not quite sure I've got enough. I need to change the zoom settings on the camera if that was going to be the case. But it is a distinctly different golf club, yet there's still the same amount of tungsten. That is why we are witnessing the slight difference, shall we say, in where the heat maps are. Andy, just do me a favour, now we're on the same kind of topic. Just talk to me about the 3DP and just go through what we found with the 3DP, why is it different to every other golf club, and how we had, what chat we had in regards to the fairest way and the right way to reflect the heat map in the 3DP.
You just want me to say it, and then you can contradict me.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we ran the data sets like we do normally. Jay hit as many shots as we need to fill the boxes so that we can create an accurate heat map. And when we processed those shots through the template file, we ended up with everything below the turf interaction line pretty much between 0 and 2%.
It was green. The whole feckin' thing was green. And I was agreeing with it. I thought this golf club is amazing, but we can't give this out because it just looks wrong. We need to look at it.
Yeah. So, after looking at the shots in detail to see what was going on, what was actually happening is the way we generate the heat map is we look at the values coming from the center of this, when quad says, okay, this was 0, 0 or close to 0, 0, we say, okay, we're going to use that as our datum point for the rest of the face. And when we did that, we got a face value of like 1.54, let's say, right out in the middle. And normally on any other iron we've ever tested, that will always usually be the highest value. You won't find anything higher anywhere else on the face. Mm-hmm. But as soon as we started looking on the low shots that were like 6 or below, there was a sudden peak where the face speed went up to 1.56. And so what was happening is the system couldn't tell that it wasn't designed so to say that the 6 millimeters low was the hot spot. It was still used in the middle. So everything below the middle and down was 0, and everything left and right was 2%. Which in depending on how you look at it is kind of true. But if you want to compare apples to apples, really you have to say, okay, well, the fastest part of the face in this club isn't technically the center of the face, but that still doesn't mean that it's not losing value when you don't hit the fastest spot. So with a quick change of the way the heat map generates the file, I made it so that it drew the heat map from the fastest spot rather than just the geometric center, and then applied a correction to show where the center would be on that heat map. And when doing that, you ended up with the 6 mil low is 0, and then the center actually becomes 1 to 2% loss, and then the edges become 4%, with the very bottom of the face being about 2%. And we discussed on ways to show that, whether we could have gone to the extreme opposite and said that the center was still 0, and then the 6 mil low would have been plus 2%. And it was actually faster from that. And then basically what you would have had, it was 0 to 2, minus 2 on the sides, and then plus 2, 6 mil low, and then back down to 0 at the bottom. But that would have been a completely different methodology of doing the heat maps, and then would we then have to consider rebuilding all the others in the same kind of method? And that just turns into a big mess of having to rebuild everything from that lot. So my standpoint was just, let's draw it the same as all the others, just with that 6 mil offset. And that's where we ended up for the actual video.
Considering no other manufacturer, no other brand, no other model of any brand has ever exhibited that kind of behavior at all in any of their irons, the fact that the 3DP demonstrates that, because that 100 grams of tungsten in such a small head enables that effectively just drag the center of gravity lower. It's just faster. Now, I am a great fan of, I hit something, I reference everything from 0, 0. I am programmed to try and hit 0, 0. I have a flight, I'm hitting the 3DP Tour, and it's going for a 7-iron, 178 yards. There you go. So it's doing that. And then I mishit stuff around the face, and I'm hitting these shots, and I'm thinking, this bloody thing's the most forgiving thing on the planet. Doesn't matter where I hit it, the feckin' thing wants to go 178 yards, or very, very close to. And
that is true. I mean, that's valid. Like, it is effectively, you're not going to lose more than 2% compared to the middle.
It's just then you gain 2% when you hit it about just under a quarter of an inch low.
And I'm not sure it just comes down to the CG being low. I think it's because, you know how they shaped it with the toe and the heel bits, right?
Yes.
And obviously behind where those tungsten blocks are, there's a solidness behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the center of the actual iron face, there's a pocket where it goes low, where I think that it's made, and I think they made that pocket just a little bit thinner as well. Like the face in that pocket is just a little thinner, because if you imagine the gap that you have to bridge, when you have to bridge the whole iron, the face can only be so thin before it'll break. But when you have a smaller section that you have to bridge, you can make that face a little thinner in that section, because you don't have to deal with the angles of deflection that you deal with in the middle. So I think they've made that section of the face just a little bit thinner too, which gives it that definite pop. Just like that. And I think that explains it, as well as just the tungsten definitely helps, but you have that shape as well of the face, and that all comes together to produce a very unique situation.
From my point of view, I can't help but I am in a game mode. I'm in target mode. I would much rather your 0 point, so 0 on the face, you're trying to hit the middle, and your 0 point, your maximum carry, being at your target. I would much rather have that and be +2 further for your furthest miss forward, and then relatively -2 for your miss backwards. You're never going to be more than 2 out as such, net 2 out. Rather than what most manufacturers have is 0 from the middle, no difference, so that's still at the flag. And then from that 0 point, you're then losing 4, but you're always short by 4, where the Cobra is different, because the middle point is actually 0, and then you got +2 and -2. I think that is just pure brilliance.
Yeah, it does exactly what you want to do. Your average distance to the pin goes down because your middle isn't the fastest.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I tried to explain that the best way I could do in the review. I know necessarily a lot of the stuff that we talk about can quite easily get a little bit, what do you say? But I felt it's important to get across just how good these 3DP taut irons are. If Cobra can just make the blooming process cheaper to do, get the cost of these golf clubs down, any person, anyone, doesn't care what handicap you are, anyone could play this iron. Anyone could. A beginner could play this iron.
And the question is, why isn't every pro playing them? You know, it's just like all the pros are going to be kicking themselves, because all they have to worry about is face control. I mean, you could hit that anywhere on the face, as long as your face angle is good.
Yeah,
it's gonna go where you want it to. You know, and if the whole system that we've built with the website and how it calculates everything based on the minus value. You see, even if we wanted to show it with the plus value, I wouldn't be able to integrate with that into the website without recoding most of the website, because it's not designed to handle a plus value on forgiveness anywhere. It would just, everything would just explode. So
I mean, that's why, to be as fair as I can to everybody else, and to be as fair as I can to keeping the format and keeping everything exactly the same, I kept the heat map as it is, even though my feelings are from where I hit it and where I have my reference point from. Again, this is not always the case. Some people will always want to hit the fastest part of the face, and if they reference it from the fastest part of the face, there is a 4% drop off. I'm not referencing it from there, and you could argue that's probably very similar to any golf club. If you have your constant miss on the toe, where that's 2% slower than the middle, if you only ever miss extreme toe or middle, and it's 2% more that way and 0, well, you're in the same position as the Cobras. It's no different. But from my reference point of middle, they are amazing. Aero, no. No. No, you don't. It's fine. They are the 925s are an extremely good golf club.
Yeah, the Forged. I mean, you're not going to see like you not for the amount. Yeah, the 3DP definitely has the smallest drop off when you consider the face as a whole. But it's not. You're talking a yard or two at most, at the most extremes. And if you're hitting at the most extremes all the time, you're not hitting the ball straight anyway. So what does that extra couple of yards of forgiveness really mean at the end of the day? But
exactly. Brian said it made perfect sense when you showed the overlay over the green. Ah, yeah, where I did the little bands of, yeah. I get it, yeah.
I thought you were going to flip-flop that image so that you were going to move the lines up, and then I realized I made that image, and you probably couldn't do that anyway.
Yep. I tried to find the PSD, and I thought, yeah, thanks very much for that, Andy. Yeah. Kidding, Jay, the 925s are really awesome. They are. Nick's in the house. Hello, Nick. Any insight into R7 Mini compared to Burner Mini? All Mini drivers need to be banned. No, they don't. They have a very, very unique selling point. They have a very unique user on the basis of it's not a 3-wood. People need to get it through their head, unless you are talking about someone who's got the most incredible speed possible. A mini driver is not functional to hit from the fairway. It just does not generate enough height and to be in any way functional. What I mean by that is have any understanding of control the other end. If you're going to go into a green, you're going to be hitting the ground for the ball's going to be pitching before the green, and it's lap of the gods what that ball's going to do when it hits the floor. Is it going to have a soft bounce, hard bounce, bounce left, bounce right? Don't know. And so anything where you have to rely on that and then not rely on a relatively consistent surface, the green, to stop the golf ball is just guesswork. And for me, that's not functional. There's enough guesswork in golf. I'd rather not that as well.
I would always say buy the 12.5-degree drive ahead with a 3-wood shaft, and you're done.
Yep. Loft is your friend. Absolutely. I'm not sold on the mini driver. Me neither.
I mean,
so
yeah, I mean, it all depends on what your dynamics are. You know, loft isn't always some people's friend. It's not my friend.
Eero said, interesting that Titleist had a 3-wood and the GT280. Ian was testing that for his bag on his new channel. And the Sim 3-wood was still the best. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I haven't tested the 3-wood from Titleist. I haven't tested the GT280 either. You don't necessarily see the point, but yeah.
What I really like about my 3-wood is that the face height is barely bigger than the ball, which means if you hit it well, it's only going to go one place. Now, if you're missing it by like a 1/4 inch, it's not going to go anywhere. But like, honestly, hitting a mini driver with a big face where you're not hitting the center and you're hitting it left, right, and center, it's going to go everywhere. You're going to be, you're hitting now a driver that's off the floor is going to be very hard to hit straight. I don't see how they're easy to hit straight off the floor. I just don't.
They're not. You're always going to be hitting lower than the center of gravity of the head. You're always going to be playing with a lower launch, higher spin profile. You're going to get lower launch anyway because unless you're hitting middle on the face or higher on the face, you roll and bulge of their head. It's still got roll and bulge. Everything is working against you from getting this golf ball going. So yeah, it's just my opinion is my opinion. I'm not saying anyone who buys the or any mini driver is wrong. Just for me, I have my issues with it. No, we don't, Eero. We need a 3DP mini driver. No, we don't. Although there is some chat, and I can't say any more because I'm not allowed to, obviously. But the new Mizuno driver that has been shown on the conforming list has snuck out there for 2026. It is there already. It's made of space. That's what it's made from. Space age stuff. Made from stars. I don't know. I really, really hope the experiment they've done with the ST230 Max this year has forced them to reconsider the consistent want to keep putting prices of drivers up. If everyone has done, he said space, yeah. If everyone has done the best they can do and probably buy as many of the ST230 Maxes as possible whilst they're on discount for this year, to see if the price is actually the biggest motivating factor for people's choice in drivers, then they will keep the price relatively low. I fear that unfortunately they would not sell enough because we're still going against the old marketing problems, and people will always have a TaylorMade or Callaway thrust into their hands because everyone knows that TaylorMade and Callaway make the best drivers. Well, no, but there you go. And we'll see. But that is apparently made from special stuff. I will get more information and I'll divulge when I can, when I'm not going to get into trouble. As soon as the first person leaks anything online about all the different things, I'm on it. Because as far as I'm concerned, that egg has been cracked and I'm, yeah, rat up a drain pipe. I'm going on that one. Right, so, daft comment of the week. Daft comment of the week. Duh. Yeah, I didn't come up with that one, literally off the top of my head. We do need a little bit of some audio of this one. I wasn't necessarily going to put this one on there, but for something in giggles, we will do. I've labelled it under something slightly different on my OBS. Lucky enough you can't see that. But what I will do, I'll just move my head up slightly and you'll understand why. There you go. It's seamless. So, this was in relation to the Cobra King Tech X, the new version of the Tech series. And it is the strongest one. Andy, remind me, how strong is that? 27 for a 7.9?
Cobra King Tech X?
Yeah.
Cobra
I want to say 27.
King Tech X 2025 is 27.
Nice. See, all in there. So, I normally blur the names out, but sod it. So, we've got at Kevin Connolly 754. I mean, he was having a laugh because obviously he has got laughy, jokey smileys. It's not a rocket ship, because I remember I did actually say that phrase in the review because it was just coming off the face like a rocket. It's not a rocket ship, it's a 5-iron. Okay, so Andy piped up and said, it's not even close to a 5-iron, this is in a 7-iron shaft. That's 5 mile an hour less than the 5-iron shaft length. If you put this club into a 5-iron shaft length, it would go as far as a 4-iron and go as high as a 6-iron, which is better metrics all around than a retro 5-iron. I jumped in, and I think we were within minutes of each other. I say it's more forgiving than the standard model. It has a faster face than the standard model. It launches higher than the standard model, all loft adjusted, but yeah, apart from that, it's exactly the same. So it's not.
So and yours was the daft comment of the week.
Mine was the
daft comment.
My one was taking the P comment of the week after the daft comment of the week. We are dealing consistently and constantly with this incessive want to push this narrative of cranked irons inherently are just the same as what their other numbers are in all the other ranges of irons, regardless of what the technology or size or anything to do with the head is just a stronger version of them. And it's not. Clearly, you cannot be, the way that we do stuff is we're measuring something simple as launch factor. Launch factor is loft for loft adjusted. So you can hit a 27 degree 7-iron, a 34 degree 7-iron, and it will basically show you what is the launch factor of that iron. Andy explained the maths behind it. It's fairly simple, but explain it anyway.
Yeah, launch factor for most part is just the launch angle divided by the delivered loft. Now we have to do some adjustments for face to path and a few other AOA changes to take the actual value the quad says is the delivered loft, which is just a fixed point in the center of the face rather than the three-dimensional loft. But you know, if you take the launch angle and then divide it by the actual delivered loft, you see the ratio of how much vertical efficiency that club produced. And all irons range from 70 to 80%. You think, well, 70 to 80% isn't much. But then you realize that that's 10% of the loft. Well, if the loft is 30 degrees, 10% is 3 degrees more launch from the same iron. That's ridiculous. Like, that is absolutely bananas.
That's a huge difference in peak height and descent angle. Don't care about your spin number.
That's the same. So launch angle is roughly 75% of delivered loft.
Yeah.
For most clubs. So
yeah, give or take.
So you have to go up 4 degrees of static loft to gain that same 10% of launch factor. So that 27 degree iron is launching basically the same as a 31 degree iron, give or take. So, but the thing is, when you have the 31 degree iron, you're limited by the physics of the impact and your smash factor. Yeah, I saw the cat line. Anyway, so you know, we know that each time you go up a loft of iron, you lose maximum smash factor. You know, a 7-iron is 136, an 8-iron is like 133, and by having this at 27, you're gaining the 1.40 smash factor, but it's launching like a 31 degree iron, so you get all the speed and all the launch for the cost of a thicker head.
And this is the thing, this is where people are. Now, this is not always the case. You don't have every single X iron or anything else like that. And I haven't forgot about your Rogue idea, Andy. I just haven't moved whatever the name of that thing over there is out the way so I can actually get to have a look at it. But they're not all the same. So not all larger brothers of the standard model does have that advantage. That's the beauty of measuring everything. If you don't measure it and you just go by the marketing, effectively all the marketing will tell you from every manufacturer, it doesn't matter who it is, they'll basically turn around and you say that the X or the Max, whatever they want to call it, is better, it's more forgiving, it launches higher with more ball speed, it does da 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 da. They will give you all of these things. Of course, that's not always the case, and that's why we measure it. But in this case, the King Tech against the King Tech X, the X is more forgiving. The green blob is bigger. It does launch the golf ball higher, and as in loft for loft adjusted, everything. It's just a better golf club from a performance point of view than the standard. Of course, it's bigger, and so necessarily the people that don't want chunky looks, they would make that kind of think about, well, should I go for that, or that would compromise, and they might go down the standard route. Because they may not need the extra height that you're going to get. They may not need the extra distance that you are going to get from that cranked iron. Cranked irons have their place. Absolutely they do. It's not for everybody. Absolutely they're not. But for a lot of people, understanding the true way of how golf clubs work and not just being constantly drummed this stupid, daft, ridiculous myth line of the same old rubbish always, drives me mental, because if not, all you're going to do is pigeonhole yourself into buying exactly the same golf clubs constantly and just making the same mistake over and over again. And it's your money. You've worked hard for this money that you're going to spend on your golf that you enjoy. Let's make sure you spend it a little bit wiser.
And I think people they completely miss the fact that that club is going as far as a 5-iron, let's say, in a 7-iron length shaft. How
And going
much
higher.
Easier? How
And
much
stopping
easier is it
steeper.
to swing a 7-iron than it is a 5-iron? I don't like swinging a 5-iron length shaft. It's like right on the edge of what's comfortable. Like it's just long, it's cumbersome. To hit it straight is a pain in the ass.
What are the two things that go wrong when you add length to shaft? From an amateur golfer's point of view, what are the two things that go wrong with delivery?
Everything. I don't know if you can limit it down
face
to
control.
two things.
Yeah, face control and strike. As soon as you get further from the work, that's what everyone struggles. It's no different. If I gave you, Andy, and I don't know what your construction skills are, so you might amaze me here, but if I gave you a nail to hit into some wood and I gave you a normal hammer, you would knock it in. You might miss it. I don't know what your construction skills are like. You'd be pretty okay at doing it. Now I'm going to give you a sledgehammer and you have to stand back, guys, and do this. What's your chances?
It's a bit of an extreme change.
You're going to hit it harder, of course you are, but you might miss the bloody thing. And so the whole idea is, anytime you get further away from the work, it's much more difficult. This is no different. If you can have the exact same relative performance distance-wise from a 7-iron length shaft than a 5-iron, but you hit it slightly higher, it comes down slightly steeper, it's got more functional performance than the other one, yet you've got the control of a 7-iron shaft over a 5-iron shaft. I honestly don't understand why golfers don't say, okay, and then just have the performance. Yes, it comes at a aesthetics penalty, we'll call it. And sometimes, yes, it does also come to a feel penalty as well. But if you're just looking for performance, it's very difficult to beat. For the ones that do work, for the Maxes and the X's out there that do that over the others, not all of them do, that's why we have the website. It's just a no-brainer. So that was Daft comment of the week.
Less daft and more just like, you know,
uneducated.
Well, no, just all, you know, just you know, thinking that needs to change. You just can't keep thinking the same stuff.
Yep.
Otherwise, you know, irons would have stopped developing 20 years ago. You know.
Oh, absolutely. There, and what we've found, again, segue that. Thank you, Andy. With this thing over here, I don't know if anyone have introduced this to anyone as yet. The Cobra 3DP, but the 3D printed iron, joking aside, has changed golf manufacturer forever. Not only the fact, obviously, it's clear performance differences over normal irons, but the fact that you could custom fit that with 100 grams of tungsten. You can custom fit that. If you are a toe striker, if you are everything off the toe, and you want that 100 grams of tungsten rammed behind the toe, get it 3D printed so it's off the toe. You can get that tungsten set at different heights depending on what flights that you want or like to see. We are talking about, okay, probably better players that like certain flights, etc. But TaylorMade do it at their flighted CG. And you're pigeonholed into that. You've got no choice. You have to have those tungsten placements because that's what comes in the P790 heads. You have the potential with that to obviously have what you want or need. Right, chat questions. Chat questions. Have I missed any? Andy? Have you been keeping... Oh, Eero.
Oh, Eero's always asking questions.
Yeah, Eero, hang on a second. There you go, you should be able to hear me. Eero. Andy, do me a favour. What was the last question that we need to address? We haven't spoke about as yet. Have we got one? We got the Jack Lofts one, because that was funny about your cat. Ira, I would love that, but I think people's heads would explode. 9iron says, I must say I have not yet noticed a gapping issue. In many ways, I'm finding the King 10X gapping working better for me based on my Top Tracer range session today. Good. 9iron says, I had too much overlap before, now club selection feels easier. Yeah, the old classic palm tree and how it blends in. Iro says, crank lofts would be so much better for the Adrian reviews if they all came in chrome. Name withdrawn said, I'd rather hit a 5-iron than a wood. I don't blame you sometimes. Right, okay. This is just for Iro. Iro sent on Discord, there is a section on my Discord server. Again, link up in the top corner, which is generally speaking where Andy's head is. But I think Andy, what he might do is add another link, a seamless, shameless link in the chat section. But Iro put a swing video and a certain bits and pieces in there, and of course you can put it in there for everyone to see and critique if you wish. Again, the guys on AGN community in the Discord channel are very, very kind, and they will just not just take the mickey for Mickey's sake like you get in a lot of forums. They're there to help people. But I did have a look at Iro's swing, and so there's just a couple of different things that I wanted to go through tonight so he can see this, and it's not going to mean anything to anyone else, but effectively what Iro does, he stands with his normal posture, and then the first thing he does, he starts getting a little bit disconnected here. He starts getting in positions like this, which looks good from down the camera, yeah, but you are far too disconnected here, yeah. You get a little bit more of this, and you kind of start going like this. You start getting out, disconnected from your body. You're like here, yeah? You start off here. What I want you to be is more from this position back there, not like this. As soon as you start raising your arms out of the equation, that starts getting your hands higher. You then have to reset, which you do when it comes to 3/4 of the way back. You have reset yourself. But I like in every single thing that you do, which is not a fluid motion and requires another adjustment, is like pinging a ruler on a desk. You know, when you get the desk like that and you ping it, it goes brrrr, that kind of idea. The whole idea that when you ping it, the ruler goes down, comes back up again. At one point, it's straight again. But then because it's basically flicking buzz, it's got the elasticity, it then goes back up in this way. And effectively, that's what happens with Iro. We get this position where he gets pulled out, and then he comes in, and then at the top of it, he's sort of like doing this already. And this is where it goes wrong. His shaft gets basically not vertical, but it's more vertical where it should be, with his natural plane of his swing needs to be. Yeah, and that's what happens then, is you start going like this, and that just starts this. Now, Iro, he's a big guy. He's 6 foot and somewhat. And so you should be able to hit this golf ball faster than me. But speed-wise, you could be much, much quicker. If you were to get to a point of when you're top of your backswing, you're not coming down this way, you're not parking the shaft very vertical. You're talking about you add some extension into your wrist on the way down into transition. And then you also want to, I never remember which one it is, pronate or supinate, but effectively you start turning your wrist in like that whilst doing that. That's what gives the shaft from there to there, and then it's this pull through. If you can get to a point of where we can, from a point of view of a mirror, just imagine, okay, the camera is in line with my head, it needs to be lower. That's why mirrors are so good, because at where you're looking, obviously how light goes, we have this little kind of triangle. We need you in a position, so where you're here, you can still see shaft here because the camera is higher than this golf club. Really, if I was looking at a mirror, I couldn't see any shaft whatsoever. It'd be like it was like this, yeah? Which allows you to go one piece, takeaway. You're coming out this way. You're getting disconnected, yeah? It may look decent from a camera position, but you're so far up here, you need to be much more in there, yeah? Connected to your body still. You start, I'm not saying ram it in. What I'm saying is, as you come around, there should be the same amount of distance between you on the way back going this way as to start with. We don't want any disconnection. That way, if you're a mirror, you can see, and it's very difficult to get the angle here, but you can go from there, hardly any shaft, and we can get this position where there is none of this. You don't have to then feel like you're then pulling it around and then go like that and then across. you can literally get to a point of where everything goes up and down. That gets you on plane on the way back. If you're on plane on the way back, then all you have to do is feel. I don't mind the fact that you're moving your wrist, you're just moving in the wrong position. One, you want to go this way and rotate that way. What we want you to do is actually the feel, because you do the opposite thing, we need to feel that way. So if you were a motorcycle rider, I know this is the clutch hand, not the acceleration hand, but you shut the throttle off. Have that feeling of shutting the throttle off. That parks the shaft lower. That means then you can now swing back down here. The shaft is behind you, and then you're going to start hitting, or feeling like you're hitting sort of pretty decent hooks, stroke draws. We need that shaft parking down. As soon as you start getting that shaft more vertical, you can't hit draws or even straight shots when the golf club gets to a point of when you're like this. As soon as you start like this, you physically can't do it. That's why we have high handle issues, because people do. They get to the top here, they have this, they come down and they go like that. And that's why I have lie issues as well. But mainly those different things. Use a mirror. Mirrors are great. If you haven't got a mirror, go in the garden, patio, glass, door, or whatever it would be, any window, that'll act as a mirror. And just practice trying to make sure you can get to first, the point where you're parallel there. Your shaft, you should not be able to see any of your shaft. If you can see shaft, you're not right. You are like this, you're too disconnected. There you go.
Just a question here. The way I think about that, without having to do the mirror thing, is when you're pointing your 9 o'clock back, well, when you're pointing behind you, the club is parallel to your feet, pointing away from you, right? It's parallel to your toes. The shaft is parallel to your toes. And then I think about having the knuckles on my left hand pointing at my toes, if that makes sense.
So shutting the face down, so keeping the face looking at the ball.
Yeah, so now you can see, so you've got your knuckles are pointing straight down at your toes, and then your shaft is parallel to your toes, so that way you get into that, like you said, from the camera position, you should see no shaft.
Yeah. Now, if you're on, I mean, I'm not a great fan of plane. I don't really necessarily care too much. And if people have weird and wonderful swings, as long as they're consistent down the business end, I don't really care. But if you're finding yourself inconsistent and you've got all these weird and wonderful funky movements going on, keep it simple, stupid. Keeping something on plane all the time, all you've actually then got to do is worry about what wrist angle you're delivering at the golf ball, but you haven't got to worry about path issues or anything else like that, because everything is basically on plane. It doesn't happen if you're kind of going this way, like that, getting in and then parking it back over again and then having an exaggerated across. But, golf is hard. Now I've got to remember now to, when I flick over cameras.
Echo.
Then it works again. I think it's working. Cool, there we go.
Yeah.
Eero, I hope that helps. Right, what we got?
You're done, so.
Yeah, take up netball. Eero says, Andy makes a huge point there. I took out a 6-iron for a 6 hybrid because it was so much easier to hit. Absolutely. I mean, more people need to be hitting hybrid. I mean, I don't have a 3 and a 4-iron. I hit 3 and 4 hybrids. Andy, he's got a 5 hybrid. And he's a beast. Brian says 5-iron shaft is borderline for me. Yes, it's borderline for a lot of people. Brian says doesn't stop me from continuing to hit it. Perseverance, fella. Perseverance. Eero's lesson for Eero's bad swing. And we've got the Discord invite. Thank you very much, Andy. KCCT82, his club head trace does the Nike swoosh in reverse. Yeah, that's it. Name withdrawn, how's the knee? Knee is an elbow. I'm getting old. It's directly correlative to how much I have to hit. So I've had to do the T 100, 150, 200, 350, 400 and 620 CB. I will not lie and say my knee, it's not painful, it's been worse. But it hurts from time to time. My elbow hurts from obviously just constantly. Now, the interesting thing, what people don't understand when you have elbow issues, yeah, you've got your two different types of elbow issue, yeah. So you've got your inside elbow issue and your right side elbow issue. One is golfer's elbow. One is, anyone for the comments? What's the other one? This could take a while. That's the whole idea. It's live, but it's not live enough. So you have both sides. Commonly, what you'll find is, thank you, Hero, well done. So you have Alex is in there. Alex is thinking, damn, he was so close. Welcome, Alex, hope you're well. So you have golfer's elbow and you have tennis elbow, yeah? So different sides. The reason is because golfer's elbow is made because of flexion. When you're coming to the golf ball, you're using your, I used to know the muscle group and stuff, it doesn't matter. Effectively, because you're coming into extension, you're keeping that into the golf swing, where commonly most amateurs, when they're having problem with slices and stuff like that, we're talking about this muscle that gets used under stress, which then causes the muscles and the tendons to hurt in this side. And it's because they're trying to get across, no different to what Eero was talking about in the little demonstration just a second ago. But because Eero and a lot of golfers trying to come in across with lots and lots of extension rather than flexion, that's when they hurt different parts. And it's normally they're hitting to the ground, the shock, whilst they're engaging certain parts, which causes the problem. Golfers who do it correctly have golfer's elbow, and commonly golfers that don't do it correctly have tennis elbow. That makes sense? Andy says yes, but Andy might know anyway, so it's, yeah. Namer John said, should I start using more wrist hinge with my driver like you do? Don't copy me. For the love of all that's holy. Don't copy me, literally don't copy me. I am possibly, you're welcome, no problem whatsoever. I am probably the world's worst person to copy when it comes to wrist angles. Because of my very one plane swing, I don't have a two plane swing whatsoever. I don't have this bit where I go back and then I come up and then I drop the club in the slot, you know, pull the toilet chain or whatever you get told all these years to get it into the slot and then rotate. I don't do that. Jay's swing is a bit odd. Very, no. It's very on plane, very repeatable. However, I have funny wrist conditions. So at the address, because I've got a slightly stronger grip, I run at about sort of 12 degrees extension, give or take. By the time I get to the top of my backswing, you know, you get taught to have this flat wrist. Well, that's relative to the grip you have for one, but effectively you have a flat-ish wrist. I am not. I am seriously like that. And because the reason why you do that, you can do a simple test yourself with a golf club that I haven't got anymore. God, doesn't matter. You get a golf club, put it in your hand, like that, and then you literally, without doing any twisting, you can't twist at all. You literally just raise your hand up. Andy, do it with me. Go on. You know you want to, right? You got to keep it right like there. You can't have any of this. It's got to be directly there. And all you can do is raise your wrist up without any form of this. Yeah, just this angle here. Yeah, so you maxed out there. Now, if you, whilst maxed out, put yourself in extension. You see how much more lag angle you can get? Yeah, it cheats. You go from this position to this position, and you get more.
I think my swing just requires me to do that, so my tendon, like, I think, like...
Yeah, so you get more. And because of the fact I'm fairly flat, my shoulders, my arms don't go as far back as what if you get them right up here. So again, I use more lag angle to gain the speed that I need. The difference is on me, on the way, I might have 50 degrees of extension up here, which is a massive one considering I'm 12. That's the great thing with Hack Motion. There you go, forgot what his name was. On the way down, I take that out to a point of where I'm hitting shots, I am 1 to 2 degrees in flexion. So I've gone 12 degrees extension at address to 50 at plus sometimes at the top. And by the time I get down into impact, I've taken that out. That's why I'm using this muscle here. I'm coming in and doing that. Obviously, that isn't a massive exaggeration, but I'm going from 50 to then +2 or 3. So a big change, 50+ degrees. So do not copy me. It takes a long time to get your body to understand wrist angles and how to apply wrist angles consistently. So I would say a much more boring version of how I do things is much more consistent, especially for golfers that haven't got time to practice. It's no different to, say, Jim Furyk. Jim Furyk has got one of the weirdest swings ever. It works for him. You'd never teach it. There you go.
I'm just looking at mine, trying to think of what I do, and I think most of the time my wrist and is always flat the whole way back. I don't know, you see my swing.
You don't need massive, you don't need huge lag angle, you don't need radial deviation. Because of the fact that you have such a rotation in your swing, your arms get so far back anyway, you can keep a nominal amount of rotation. Now bear in mind, if I have my hands here, yeah, and I've got my arm vertical, if I just keep everything exactly, that's 90 degrees. I don't need any more, yeah? So relative to where your arm position is over here, you can either have more or less depending on how far you get back, and you rotate a lot anyway. So your arm position, not an issue. That's where you get all your length from. I am much more applied round here, and I don't get all the way back. So I use my wrist angles to give me that extra amount, but I absolutely would not suggest that people do it. Right, couple more before we go home for the day. J-swing is a bit odd, very odd. Alex says, is the same true in reverse for the trailing arm, golf and tennis soreness? That's a really interesting point. It's the interesting thing with the trail arm is, generally speaking, you should always get it in there. If you're getting it in here from like a tennis elbow on this side, it commonly happens what you're doing up in transition, the strain you are in transition. Because obviously from that point, sometimes this arm here is this wrist and this quite a bit. You can see the muscles move and work, but really it should only be internal. But again, if you're struggling with anything, TPI is great. Titleist do TPI. If you've got someone who does that, they're brilliant at understanding how your body works and how to make it better, how to do better golf movements to protect against certain ailments. Steve says, what putter are you gaming? Thoughts on Zero Torque? I am flicking between two at the moment. I'm flicking between my standard Mizuno M-Craft 3 that I've had for many years and the most funky, colourful Vice putter in the world. I'll tell you what, I'll show it to you because we haven't seen it on camera for a while, and I think everyone deserves a treat. Ready? Ready? We know that. We know that one, don't we? Yeah. But this is the gift. It's just so funky coloured. It goes, as you can see, from like yellow to golden to purple, and it's just cool. If you like your funky colours, there you go.
I mean, we already answered the zero torque earlier, right? Yeah. Zero torque. What is it?
Steve, early on in the chat. Because, I mean, it's... Go on, you say what you want. I'm not going to say any more on it, but we've covered it earlier on.
Moving on to the next question. Like,
cool.
Brian was asking about buying a GT3, and I said, buy it if you like losing balls.
GT3 is an incredibly good driver. However, you have got to be very in control of the face and very in control of your strike. If you don't have very, very good control over those, and what I mean by that is you don't have to deviate much at all before stuff starts getting very funky. So
yeah. A little bit of a closed face and off the toe, and it's just goodbye left.
Oh, we picked up quite a few different things off the GT3 on the advanced data. And again, this is where I think the next stage for the driver data on the website www.askgolfnut.com will come from. We just need, obviously, a lot more shots. We are developing the driver database and all the advanced metrics for the drivers, which will potentially be incredibly useful for people to understand how drivers work and how, if they are struggling with the driver, why. And if they have a certain pattern with the driver, what kind of driver will be more helpful to them and rather massage their miss rather than kick them in the backside. Steve says, that's funky. Cheers, mate. Right. Brian says, Andy, that high toe miss is scary, but it's so long. Neil says, are those putter colours conforming? Absolutely not. They do look like psychedelic sick. I think that's what they should have called the colour scheme, because it is very... Yeah. Neil says, at Brian Anderson, wait for the new Mizuno driver with 3 weights and made from space. It is. It is made from stuff that stars are made from.
If you had to compare the GT3 versus the Black Ops, let's say, in terms of distance, is there any real distance gain to the GT3?
I would say, on average, if you took good shots, only good shots, I would say you're talking mid 270s with the Black Ops, and you're talking mid to low 280s of the GT3. Let's call it 8.
But you say you're getting 7 yards, but the stability of the Black Ops is like second to none.
This is the different thing. You are absolutely right. 8. Let's call it 8 yards. There's 8 yards difference between them, like for like. However, Andy, you have an extremely good point. Those were from the middle ones, and the ones you can control everything. However, what happens though when you mishit the Black Ops? They still want to go 275 yards, give or take. I can remember the data set that I was doing in here when I was doing just before the review, and I had Andy on voice call whilst I was doing that, and it was hilarious. I was hitting this golf club off some weird and wonderful spots, and the amount of times it basically hit 275 yards of carry was just giggle factor. It was hilarious, and that's why if you look at the heat map on the Black Ops, the PXG Black Ops, it's just really, really good. You do the same thing with GT3. Not so good.
Yeah, and it's not just the front to back dispersion, it's just stable left and right too. Just way more stable.
It's brilliant. It really is.
I take the GT2 any day over the GT3. I just don't see the GT3 shouldn't exist.
The GT2 is actually not that slow, not that far away in the yards wise either. Arguably, it's slightly longer than the Black Ops. So, Black Ops Hero. If you name every single driver that I've tested so far, and it's just on performance, so performance as a measure of balance in forgiveness as well, it's Black Ops. The only time that I'd be like, I'm in an R-in, would be as if you add the 230 Max in there. That's the only one. Really, any other one, I'll be going Black Ops, Black Ops, Black Ops. The only one I would put in there from a feel point of view is if the QI35 LS. That is a lovely feeling golf club. Just gorgeous. Every piece of acoustics you'd ever want to have from a driver, it's just perfect. It's not the best out there when it comes to performance. It's not bad, but we want, obviously, what about Space Driver? It's coming. The outer Space Driver is on its way. Warp Speed, soon to be here, probably January, give or take. QI35 is nice, love the sound, can't it? Well, yes, this is the problem when it comes to drivers. Now, QI35 did okay in the heat maps. It done fine, but you can't beat the Black Ops. I think the Black Ops still, I believe, Andy, isn't it still technically the top shortly followed by 230 Max?
No.
Is it not? 230 Max is better overall? Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
So it might just be not just the distribution of the green blob. Because I think, isn't the peer... I can't remember which one it is now, because one of them's like that, one of them's more like... I can't remember.
Website. The Max has a spin, spin and face speed issue, which causes it, it's very stable, but it does lose quite a lot of distance compared to the Black Ops for the same stability, stability.
Either way, we're picking hairs. We are literally splitting hairs between them. So, right, anyone else have a question? Andy, is anything else that you would like to say? Anything you'd like to bring up?
No, other than Hero can't have any more clubs, I think we're good.
I can't say a thing. You've seen this studio grow over time. I'm now at a point of where I can't really have any more golf clubs. I'm now having to think about down the left-hand side of where the screen is. It may have to go there. No, what I need to do is I need a container. Brian says, Eero, they are trying to hold you back, man, don't listen. Eero says, Jay said I need a Black Ops driver, Andy. Black Ops or Elite Black Ops. I really don't know any manufacturer that is going to be... The PXG have made, in their lineup of drivers, the best driver and the useless driver in the world. Because the Tour model is crap. Sorry for all the people that have bought Tour models. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. I'm saying from opinion. I have hit the Tour model quite a bit, and see, Andy's bored already. And honestly, oh my word, the Tour is so sensitive. It makes the GT3 look stable. And I can remember hitting one where my path was, I think, 1 degree from the inside and face was open by 0.8 of a degree. And it finished 56 yards right. Something like 56 yards right. This thing, it's just gone. It just disappeared off to the right. And I'm thinking, no, I mean, that was a good hit. The face was open by less than a degree and that's gone 50 plus yards right. No, you can't play this driver. No. So went to the Black Ops standard and instantly it was like, doesn't matter where you hit it on the face, it just wants to go 275 yards carry for my speed and delivery. Your results may vary, but from different speed and delivery, but effectively it wanted to do the same thing over and over again. It is brilliant. Just don't have a Tour model because it's definitely not brilliant. Right. Eero, that's good. Really don't like PXG, so I'll have to get the Mizuno driver. Get it soon. Eero, if you're going to, get it soon whilst it's cheap, because it will be gone soon, and the space age one will come out, and it'll probably be worth the same as the GDP of Sweden. Possibly. Eero, thank you for your demo, Jay. Very helpful, even though I thought my swing was getting better. It is getting better. If you want to see what it looked like to start with.
Bring a comparison if you want.
No, Matt, honestly, you are doing well. When I'm picking bits and pieces up, it's just a case of you sent it through. I'm looking at certain things to say, yeah, okay, you're exhibiting this problem. Okay, then we need to fix this or tweak this a little bit. That's the only thing. You're doing very, very well. Andy, you can go full Cobra fanboy, DS Adapt Max driver and 3DP tours. There you go. Right, guys, thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you very, very much for bearing with us when we have our technical woes of seeing that wonderful man below us, however, not necessarily hearing him for the first part one. I have since deleted that because obviously it's 10 minutes of listening to me prattle on and then listen to Andy sound like a hand puppet. So unfortunately, yeah, we deleted that one and started for part 2, V2, which is this one here. So thank you very much for everyone. You've got more chance of it than I have. Yeah. Move your handy mouth moves. So yeah, thank you very much for watching as always, as ever. I have done the videos for the Titleist, all the irons, 620 CB, T100, T150, T200, T350, T400. I've got to do the editing for them. I've got to do the numbers section, of which this camera is always set up to do. And then I'll be doing all the editing and getting them out on the channel. If you want to know how well these new newish T100, 150, 200, 300 are doing when it comes to heat maps, if you are a gold member of the website www.askgolfnut.com, you get early access to all of the heat maps and data accordingly. So if you are a gold member, go chew on those. I will ask all the gold members, please, if you are going to talk about it in the Discord discussion, gold discussion group. Do not put any information from the Titleist T-series on the T-box or any YouTube comments or anything else like that. I will delete it straight away if I see it. Also, Andy will as well. Don't worry, you're not going to get yellow carded or red carded or anything else like that. It's just that I just want to make sure that nothing gets leaked before I have the chance, obviously, to put the review out there. And after that, by all means, like the videos. You must remember to like every single video, even if you are physically repulsed by it. Any last words, Andy?
No.
No. Cool.
No, I don't think so. No.
Cool. Hope everyone has enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your contribution when it comes to the chat, all that lot. Thank you very, very much to Kieran for a special K. I very, very much appreciate the £20. It was a very, very kind gift. That will go straight into the Titleist fund. And guys, I am still running the Titleist fund on the basis that I've got to stump up the money for the next series of T-series irons, which are coming out extremely soon. So as I have to buy them rather than Titleist getting any samples sent to me, any donations would be kindly appreciated. Thank you very much for every single person that has donated, large or small. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, everyone, and catch everyone again very soon.
Goodbye.